is Sylvia with Odyssey of Enlightenment, and I've been away for a while because, quite frankly, the Lionsgate kicked my ass. I don't know if anybody else can relate, but it was a doozy. And before it, I don't know why we set ourselves up, and I don't know if it was just me or if you guys did this too, but I was like, oh, the Lionsgate, it's going to be so amazing. And you get all excited and all these expectations, even though we know better. And I'm like, oh, the Lionsgate, everything's going to change, everything's going to shift. And I don't know what it is with this attachment to dates, like when's the event and when's this and when's that. And when this happens, I'm going to be like this and I'm going to be happy, putting your happiness on layaway for the future. No, be happy now. So even though I know all that, I was super hyped for the Lionsgate, which was, for those of you that don't know, is on August 8th. And the day before, I felt okay. I felt fine. Nothing like super low, nothing is super high, just neutral, which I love. I've come to really value neutral in this current phase that I'm in, because before you're like, oh, I want excitement, I want it to be super exciting. No, I want neutral, just peace, because everything's been so like chaos that I'm like, oh, neutral is my jam. That's my new jam. So I was neutral, and come Lionsgate, oh my God, it kicked my ass. I woke up, I was already feeling inklings of it the night before I went to bed. And then Lionsgate comes and I wake up like normal. It's a school day. I take my kids to the bus, pack lunches, all that. I get home, I finish coffee, breakfast, and all of a sudden, out of seemingly nowhere, I feel like I got sucker punched. And I started getting really crabby, like super dramatic about every little thing, like just every little tiny thing felt giant, making mountains out of molehills. That's what it felt like very, like when a toddler's throwing a tantrum. Internally, though, I wasn't fighting with anybody because I was by myself, but like things that would pop up, things being asked of me from outside sources, it was really triggering the crap out of me. And it was simple, mundane things. And it started mounting like snowball effect. And at first I'm like, like noticing, oh, okay, this is weird. But then, like, at first it feels like you put on a cardigan, like a light annoyance. Then it feels like a freaking winter coat. Then it feels like just overwhelmed. And for me, that's how it felt. Plus, I was feeling it not just emotionally, mentally, and physically. I got a fever. Freaking 100-degree weather outside. The air's on. The air conditioning's on. Weird time to get a fever. I wasn't sick. I could feel like my physical vessel changing. And I asked, like, what's happening? And I heard, you're releasing dross. You're burning dross. Initially, I had heard the word dross a long time ago. And quite frankly, I forgot what it meant. And I even spelled it wrong because I wanted to Google it, like, what is this? So I spelled it D-R-A-U-S-S because that was my assumption. That's how it sounded. And actually it's D-R-O-S-S. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of dross. But like I said, I had it in my memory somewhere, but I had forgotten what it actually meant. So I looked it up, and actually it's a biblical term, which really surprised me. And it means when God or source removes impurities from you. Impurities are being removed. So in other words, another word for purging, it's purging. But dross, it was just so interesting. Like, what does that mean? So in my reading, it's in the Bible that's being removed. So it could be taken one of two ways. Either in the Bible, they claim, God will remove the evil, and also within you, within the chosen ones, the dross is being removed, meaning impurities, which I guess you could call it evil. I mean, anything dark, anything, the way I looked at it was more like, oh, okay, you were playing this character and this character needed this wardrobe, this hairdo, this gear for that part of the play or the movie, and you don't need that anymore. So wardrobe change, we're in the dressing room, and now you're changing into your new. But before you change into the new, you got to take off the old, right? So that's the way I saw it. Like going into another version of the now, something new, walking into a new room, into a new house, into a new school. The kids just started school, so similar to that. Oh, you're going to your new grade, your new school, your new level, so to speak. It felt like that, but oh my God, I did not expect it to be that freaking intense and dramatic. And in Lane, they're practically dying. I mean, it felt horrible because it was head to toe. You know, when you have a fever or the flu, how it feels like super achy, and then like your body demands you to lay down. You have no choice. It's like your body's like, we're going to do this. And you're going to surrender because this needs to happen. So you surrender. You're like, fuck it. I'm just going to lay down. And your body makes you really cold, and so that you can pile stuff on, so that you can make a fever to burn away the virus, the dross, whatever it is you need to burn away, release. It just felt like cleaning out your purse. Like, oh, you don't need this anymore. You don't need that anymore. That's garbage. Like, oh, we can keep this. You don't need that. And it felt like that. And the night before, I felt a lot of like in between asleep and awake. So like part of me was aware, but I couldn't move. So part of me was asleep, and I felt lots of hands on me. Like have you ever been to like those high school car washes where kids are like, we'll wash your car for $5, and then you just pull up and then like all these kids are washing your car? That's what it felt like, but on me. And I could feel spinning and tugging and pulling. And that was the night before the Lionsgate. So it probably was the Lionsgate because it was 8 at midnight, right? So when I was asleep, I felt achy, like really uncomfortable. And like to the point where the discomfort wakes you up, but you're not fully awake. So it's kind of like someone, hey, wake up. But you're like you can half wake up, but not really because you're still asleep. It felt like that, but the whole night. So it was like, oh, that wasn't even, I didn't even feel like I rested. It didn't feel like sleep, but I was conscious of something happening. I didn't know what it was. I couldn't see anything. It just felt like that. And then the next day was the fever, the muscle pain, the achiness, and then it got better and better. I'm being sarcastic. I started crying. I started getting really angry and like throwing a tantrum, pretty much, like being super. I felt like I was being a drama queen over nothing, over simple things. One of my a mortgage person that I'm working with asked me for some documents, and simple documents. I mean, it took like less than 2 minutes to sign, scan, and email them to her. Very simple request, but it just felt like, what more do you want? And I just burst into tears because I felt like emotionally fried, mentally fried, and physically fried. Literally, I was frying. I mean, I'm sitting there burning up. I didn't take my temperature. I wish I would have, but I felt so like I couldn't even think. It just felt like so much is happening. So much is happening. I can't even focus. I can't even think. It's just like, we need to shut down. Like when your computer commands you, like, it's going to restart because we have updates, and we're going to turn it off. It's going to shut off. And then it just gives you that 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that's how it felt. Like my body was alerting me, you are going to lay down because this must happen. And when you're in that level of pain, on all of your bodies, not just one. And I don't know if any of you can relate to some degree or how your Lionsgate experience was, but I would love to hear it if you felt anything weird, or in looking back, has anything weird happened to you near the Lionsgate? Because they say the portal opens before 8/8, and then it stays open for a few days after. I believe today's actually the last day that it's open, if I'm correct. I'm not sure. So I laid down and all this stuff is being released, and I was angry, sad. I just felt like broken and like, what's going on? But I also got the visual of like being in the hospital. Like when you're in the hospital, you don't want to be in that bed. You feel like crap. You just want to like fast forward the healing, fast forward, you know, let me feel good. I just want to feel good. And it's like, you have to surrender to it. Just surrender and let it happen. And the sooner you give into it, lean into it, allow your body to do whatever it needs to do, the sooner you feel better. And I definitely reached out to a fellow practitioner, and we're comparing Lionsgate horrors. But it helps because it felt like, okay, I'm not crazy, I'm not alone, something is happening. Because even though I see the things I see, I still question it, and I'm like, is this real? Like, what's going on? And it felt good to be validated, and that's why I'm making this video, because if anybody else is feeling like this, now everybody's different. So you might have felt it before, you might have felt it on 8/8 like I did, or you might have felt it, you might be feeling it now. That's why I want to make this video, because this feeling, we don't know, depending on how much you have to release, or whatever the universe is demanding from you, depending on how willing you are to release it, to let go of it, in whatever way, to surrender to whatever life is asking of you in this moment with grace, and without reacting. And by reacting, I don't mean within you, like, I mean, you get to feel sad, you get to feel mad, you get to be upset with you, but don't spew that onto someone else. Like, say, for instance, someone triggered you. Don't feed that energy. Don't take it off of you and throw it onto them. Yeah, you'll feel better, but then they're going to feel like shit. And it's just going to be like a ping pong with that negative energy. Transmute it, let it go, feel it, and just let it run through you. That's my best advice, because that's what I did, and it helped me to accelerate the release and not bring anybody else into my bullshit. Because honestly, it was bullshit. It wasn't even like, well, imagine if I had flipped out on the mortgage lady, like, she's gonna be like, okay, it's a paper, calm down. And I would have looked crazy, and I would have felt like crap, and then I would have regretted it. So I am so glad I just stopped, and I laid down, and I set an alarm for an hour, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna gift myself this time to heal, to come back into alignment, come back into center. Because, I mean, we're human. You're going to feel what you feel. And that's why we're here, to feel what we feel. But just, okay, but I'm not poisoning anyone. You know, I'm not answering that call. I'm not answering that email. I'm not replying to anyone feeling like this, because I'm a jumble, I'm a mess. And so, no, I'm not going to impose that energy, that feeling on anyone. And I feel like, looking back into the past, when I have responded, even though I try to tailor my response without dumping my junk on them, so to speak, energy gets transferred. I mean, we're receiving energy constantly. You're receiving energy through this video. That's why I don't do videos when I feel like shit, because I don't want to give that to you. I am energetically responsible, as I try as hard as possible. Sometimes I don't succeed, like with my kids, for instance, or with in my personal life, but I'm getting better and I'm becoming aware of when I'm feeling a certain way and like reflecting immediately, catching myself, and then, oh, okay, don't respond. I shouldn't have responded, or I shouldn't have, you know, you don't bring other people in to the mess, to the madness. You just let it die out within you, and then, okay, gone. And so that also brings me to an interesting dream I had, because like I said, it felt like removing the costume, right, to go into another scene of the play. But honestly, this doesn't feel like another scene. This feels like another play. Like, you know, they say, oh, a chapter to the book. No, this feels like a new book, not a new chapter. Something just totally different. And sometimes that feels like, because even though you want change, when change is here, tense up, right? You're like, what if this, and this, and this, and this? Relax, ground yourself. So I had this very interesting dream, and I can't recall exactly when, but it was within the last few days. And the dream was in a few parts. So there's a lot of timelines being collapsed, I noticed, because at first I've been questioning, why am I dreaming of all this stuff if it's not true, or it's not what's happening in my now? Well, it's because it's happening in another now, in another version of the now, which is another timeline, parallel reality, whatever you want to call it. I mean, we use words, but they're so limiting and they don't really do it justice of what it is. So in my limited understanding or vocabulary, I just say in another version of the now. So I realize we're collapsing timelines in the dream state. And I have said that before, and I have been aware of that before, but not to this extent. It feels like it's, you know, surrounding the Lionsgate. It's been like boom, 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 intense, 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 because the dreams, they haven't been nightmares, but they've been intense. And it's like, those people aren't in my life anymore, but we're sealing up things. Or where I noticed that, like, when you're wrapping a gift, you put the bow on it at the end, and it felt like that, putting a bow on it. And it was like, okay, now it's complete. I wrapped this gift, done. I can ship it off. You know, I wrapped up the past, done, ship it off. So making peace with the past, that's what it feels like new choices. So in the dream, the first part was my ex, you know, claiming, oh, I want to do this with you. I want to go here with you. Let's do this. And like in tears and like really, it felt like it was real. It felt very, what's the word? Authentic, genuine. And in the dream, I was saying, I don't feel the same, but very respectful. No arguing, no anger, no resentment, nothing. Just very matter of fact, gentle. So that was one part. Then the next part is we're sitting, and it's like a team of people. And I'm saying team because it was a group. And at first I didn't know it was a team, a group, or, I mean, I didn't know it was a team. I knew it was a group. It's just a bunch of people sitting around, and I'm there. And you know, in dreams where you feel like you're spying on yourself in the dream, it's like you just appear, you're dropped down, kind of like Scrooge in, I don't even remember the movie, like, Christmas Past, the Ghosts of Christmas Past, where the ghosts take him to a memory, and then he's just like, boop, he's there, but he's a ghost and he can see what's going on. So he's just trying to like acclimate and be like, okay, where am I? And then in the dream, you drop into the scenario, into the dream, and you're like trying to assess what's going on, who is this, what room am I in, whose house is this? And it's like, you don't ask, but you get knowings dropped into you, which is, by the way, that's how psychic information feels. You just get knowings dropped into you, and that's how it feels in the dream state. And so this knowing got dropped into me that we're choosing teams. And so in my limited like assessment within the dream, I was trying to wrap my head around it, and I'm like, oh, we're gonna play a game. And yes, that was true. But in the dream, I thought, oh, well, maybe we're gonna play like a board game or Scrabble or something. I didn't understand. I thought maybe we're at a party, at a gathering, I don't know. And so there was a bunch of people, and they were writing down everyone on their team. So it was everyone, like a big group, and then me. And interestingly, my ex was a part of the big group. And so I was the oddball. And I'm saying this because there came a point where, you know, like when you're a kid and you're going to play kickball or whatever in school, and you pick your team and you're like, oh, get Billy because Billy's really good at kickball. We want him on our team. It felt like that, but with me. And I'm not saying that to be egoic or anything. I'm just telling you what happened in the dream. So they were like, oh, Sylvia's on our team. And like with that energy, like that knowing dropped into my head, like, oh yeah, you know, we're going to win because Sylvia's on our team. And I stood up in the dream and I said, excuse me, I'm not on your team. And everybody in that huge group turns around, including my ex, and they're like, what do you mean you're not on our team? And they were like, it was, I could feel heavy confusion and kind of like, who the hell do you think you are kind of energy, and just confusion, mostly confusion, because they're looking at you like, what? You're here though. And like, it's like they took it for granted that you were on their team. That's how it felt. So I tell them, no, I'm not on your team. And I just clarify, and I get a blank piece of paper and I write my name, and that's my team. I don't know who else signed up because then the dream switched, and I'm in a locker room, like where the football players get dressed before the game. But it was a mix, like a merge of a locker room with like, I don't even know what it's called, a dressing room, where all those little light bulbs are around the mirror for the actors to get ready for the next scene of the play or to go perform. And so it looked like that. So it was part locker room, part like beauty stand. I don't even know what it's called, where you get ready, where a woman gets ready, and it had lights all around the mirror, and I'm primping and getting ready. But what was weird was my hair was done really nice down, and I had full makeup. So it felt, at first I was confused because I saw the lockers. I saw it was a locker room. And then I see, I'm sitting at a dressing room. I'm in front of the mirror. I'm primping like the way a bride would before she puts on her gown and goes to get married, which is supposed to be one of the most elegant, you know, occasions that anyone can attend, is a wedding. And it felt like that, like really important, very fancy, very elegant, very important. I mean, a wedding's a big deal, right? So it felt like that. I didn't have the wedding feeling. I'm just saying that feeling that a bride has. It's like, oh, I want to look perfect. I want to be perfect. Like everything has to be just right. Or like the way you would get ready for an award. Like if you're going to go receive an award or an Oscar or something, you want to look your best. So I had like really good hair, really good makeup. But what was weird was I stand up and I'm wearing a football jersey. And I'm like, what the heck? I don't even watch football. But I was wearing a bright, like the brightest glowing blue I have ever seen, with white, glowing bright white. Like it was just like glowing. And I'm zipping up my jersey, which I have no idea why there was a zipper, but there was. And I'm wearing the pants. I don't know what they're called. They look like capris, but they were white, super glowy white football pants. And everything just looked so pristine and like brand new, but like the uniform had an energy to it, very high vibrational. And I couldn't wrap my conscious mind around it, because I'm thinking, how is football high vibrational? And like, what's going on? And so I'm trying to understand what's going on. And so what I did also notice is that there were no pads. There was no protection, no helmet, no, the stuff that goes underneath, the pads, I think they're called, the protective gear that they wear underneath so that if there's impact, they don't get hurt. So there was none of that. It was just the jersey and the pants, the cleats, the socks, and really nice hair, really good makeup. And I get up and I'm walking down that little hallway that goes out. I'm assuming it goes out to a field, to a stadium, but I didn't get out. I just like started walking towards the little hallway that leads to the stadium, but I didn't go down the hallway. I just stood at the beginning of the hallway. So that was very indicative. It felt to me like, okay, that's telling me it's almost time. You're almost being called up. And it felt like it's my turn. And it felt really, really important. The only way I could equate it to football terms is going to the Super Bowl. That's what it felt like. But it didn't feel like warrior mode, like fight. It didn't feel like challenge. It didn't feel like none of that. It just felt like, oh, it's a game. It's a game, and I'm gonna go kick this game's ass. That's what it felt like. It felt very confident, very calm, very relaxed. But I knew that was happening, that like I'm on the precipice of the game, whatever that is. But it felt very, very important. And I wasn't scared. I wasn't nervous. It was just matter of fact, okay, this is what it is. I'm ready. So I was ready because visually I could see, okay, done, wearing the uniform. And it felt more like the outfit that I was wearing was more of a uniform, more of an indicator of which side I have chosen, which I found very like, whoa, okay. Funny how visuals can have so much meaning just wrapped up in a snapshot. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. That's how it felt. Like, even though that dream was probably a minute, honestly, or less, it felt like so much information was condensed into that tiny little snippet of, like a GIF, when you see a video GIF, like, boop, it's fast. That's how it felt. Just so fast, but so much meaning in that tiny GIF. And that's how it felt. So I want to share that with you, because I feel like that's where we're at. If you're watching this video, if you follow the information, if you're in this world that I'm in, because obviously we're vibrating the same if you're watching this video, and if it resonates with you, that's where we're at. This message is for you. And I mean, if it doesn't resonate with you, that's fine too. That's okay. I just want to share. I feel like it's my duty to be a messenger, to help trigger you, not trigger you, but to help open up information within your mind, because that's how we receive. So then you trigger me, for lack of a better word. I don't know what other word to use that's not. Trigger has gotten such a negative connotation. Well, we've given it a negative connotation, but I don't mean trigger. I mean like open up, awaken, remember, like, hey, remember this. And in a gentle way, in an exciting way, because it is exciting. It's so exciting. And I love when I have those moments, those dreams, those epiphanies, because it reignites my hope. Because when shit gets hard, like that day when I had the fever, you need miracles and epiphanies like this to keep you going. It's like gasoline to keep us in the momentum, in the trajectory, our highest trajectory, our best possible experience. And that also leads me to think that my choosing, I feel like our souls at a higher level have already chosen. Like, the bifurcation is here. It's already happened. But I feel like now in this gateway, it feels like now we're being called, or like gifted the opportunity to fine tune the next chunk of time, the next decade. It feels like that. And Jupiter went direct on the 11th, just yesterday actually. And huge energy, huge planet. So now all the mammoths that have been asleep, Jupiter, Saturn, they're all waking up. So things are popping. They're gonna start popping off. I mean, people with Jupiter going direct, you feel more optimism, you feel more hopeful, you feel more sunshiny. And I mean, it's gradual, it will build because he's a big planet. So if you don't feel sunshiny or optimistic right now, you will. Just let it come. But a warning also, a caveat, a reminder, gentle reminder. You don't have to listen. You can listen, whatever you want. But Saturn goes direct in September. I believe it's around the 14th, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in that area. So from now, Jupiter going direct till September 14th-ish, give or take 3 days before, during, or after, we have big, I feel like whatever choice you make, whatever word, action, deed, like this was already happening, but now it's like, boom, amplified, rocket fuel. It has a huge ripple effect on your trajectory. Stay in integrity, keep your word impeccable. Don't lie, don't mislead people, don't try to get one over on them. Because we always have a choice, right? I mean, sometimes it's like, oh, he's not gonna know. I'm not gonna tell him that, or I'm gonna, mislead her, and she's not gonna know. Nobody's gonna. Yes, they will, and it will come out in the most surprising ways because Saturn rules karma, and he's waking up right now. It's like right before he wakes up fully. So the energy's already starting. So it's like, oh, that's going on your report card. That's going on your report card. That's going on your report card. And let people do whatever the hell they want. Let them act crazy. Let them say whatever they want. Who cares? Don't react to their shenanigans. Don't feed that low timeline. You don't want to get stuck down there. So it's like, if you feed the dog, it's going to bite you. Don't feed that dog. Obviously you're human. You're going to feel like, sucker punched if somebody triggers you. But remember, the lower vibration wants to keep you in that lower vibration. You set off alarms in the matrix when you vibe higher, when you're brighter, you stick out more, right? You blend in the camouflage when you're dark, because there's a lot of dark people. But when you're bright and your vibe is higher, you stick out like a sore thumb. And the matrix is like, get back over here. Get back over here. We want your energy to feed this system of control, of fear, of crap, really. And like, totally, you can do that. You can go into the basement, into the gutter if you want to, but like, aren't you tired? Like, come up to the VIP lounge in the penthouse. Like, it's nice up here. And I'm not trying to say that I'm better or anything. I'm just giving advice because I feel like this is that important. Like, please, I want to share what I've discovered with you, because I feel like the tiniest of things that you think are like, word vomit, that it's no big deal. they are having serious ramifications that you can't see. You can't, like every choice, even Dolores Cannon spoke of choice points. Every choice leads to a different trajectory, right? Depending on, you want to go down, you want to go up. It's more about being super aligned, aware, detached, observing, and then discerning. Like, who's driving your car? Are you driving your car, or is that energy, that is the matrix driving your car? Because they want you to come down here with them because they want to keep feeding their world. But if you want to get out of that world, you have to do something that you haven't done before, right? You know, break the programming. Like, nope, this time I'm not going to respond negatively. This time I'm not going to respond at all. This time I'm just, nothing. Just, and then when you're alone, obviously you can flip out and cry or do whatever you want with you, where it's safe. Write an angry letter, burn it. You know, those are good tools. They help. Scream, take a salt bath, run, whatever you need to do. Throw rocks, whatever, beat something up, pillow, whatever. You know, just don't keep that crap in you. Let it out. And then don't take ownership of it. Don't be like, oh, you're staying with me. I'm going to put you in my pocket. I'm going to put you in my purse. No, leave. Bye. Like, okay, you're not going to keep your vomit. So don't keep that energy. Leave it alone. And then don't go digging for it either. Like, once you've released it, don't be like, is it still there? No, don't visit it. Bye. Shoo the mosquito away. That's it. But we are choosing timelines. We're collapsing timelines in our dreams, in waking life. I don't know if this has happened to you, but it's always happened to me, but now it's accelerated. Even my kids are noticing things that weren't there before are there now. My son now has a new mole that he never had before. And he's like, this is new. But that's the difference, is not that, you know, something new. It's your awareness of the new, because you remember the other way it was and the new. So kind of like Mandela effect, but random stuff. Like, that tree wasn't there. That house wasn't there. Things like that, like different versions of the now. It feels like that. And it's so interesting when my kids notice it, or like relatives, because when they start talking about it, you know something's going on, because they're like, okay, that happened to me. And it's exciting because I'm like, okay, it's happening to them too. That means it's happening to everybody again, but not everybody talks about it. But, you know, since we're how we are, people tell us stuff because they're like, oh, she's a weirdo. She'll get this. This will be fun for her. And, you know, they feel like they open up to you and you're like, oh, that's so cool. I love that stuff. That's so exciting. I'm referring to my notes so that I don't forget anything. For those of you that don't know, Mercury shadow fades. The phase ends on August 16th. So Mercury did go direct at the end of July, but the shadow lasts 2 weeks after. So I don't know if this has been happening to you, but so weird that I've noticed that it doesn't cause that much chaos for me when it's actually retrograde. When I notice it is when it's coming out of shadow and it's stationing, it's stopping fully. That's when I notice like weird electronic issues, missed calls. And that could also be affiliated with that timeline jumping, the collapsing, because I've seen numbers change before my eyes and just weird stuff. And I'm like, that's not my phone number. Why is that on there? And then boom, I look at it again. It's my phone number. What the hell? So I guess I saw the other timeline where I had another phone number, and stuff like that is so exciting to me because it's tangible, it's real, it's happening. And I've been blessed to witness it and have the intellect to, whoa, I see what's happening. And I want to share that with you because I want to know if that's happening to you. And also to tell you, to report on exciting stuff that's happening, because this is happening to everybody, like I said. Another thing that I did forget to mention was the Lion's Gate. So as I'm laying there miserable with my fever and, you know, purging the dross or whatever, I started thinking back to previous Lion's Gates, and I always felt like crap on the Lion's Gate. Not necessarily just physically, not just physical discomfort, never a fever, that's for sure. But I recall big arguments, big fights, big energy, like, ugh. And you know, that's releasing, that's purging, because you're speaking your truth, you're releasing whatever crap that needs to be released. And I had never put those together. So I started noticing a pattern, like all the 8/8s from, you know, all the ghosts of Christmas past. I'm like, oh my God. So I feel like it's kind of like when a baby's being born, he comes out of the birth canal. Well, you can't, you're leaving it behind, but you're being squeezed out like toothpaste, like squeezed. And that's what it felt like I was being squeezed. And so now I'm like, whoa, the Lion's Gate is a portal, but to get through it, you're squeezed for more. And it's like, seriously, I didn't know I had more to release. How much more is there? And I feel like this is a perfect time to get healing done on you in any way, in any capacity. Get a massage, get your kids to rub your back, get your husband to rub your back, whatever. Just pamper yourself. Pamper all of your bodies, not just one, your physical body, your mental body. So if that means taking a nap to pamper your mental body and your physical, taking a hot bath to just unplug from the world, do it. Whatever it is to pamper. And then remember, emotional body, you're pampering your emotional body. So be discerning with the way you speak to yourself, the way you care for yourself. You know, self-love, putting yourself number one above everything and everyone, even our kids, even our dogs, even everybody. Nope, me first, then everybody, because you won't be able to be of service if you're depleted, if you're empty. And then that breeds resentment, that breeds discomfort, headaches, health issues. It's like we have to handle all of our bodies, our energy body, pamper that one too. And that means being very firm, not mean, not rude, but firm in a loving way with your boundaries. Like if somebody calls you, you don't have to jump and answer that call. If you feel like shit, gift yourself the opportunity to decompress, like the way I did with the paperwork. It had to wait. I could not do one more thing. I was exhausted on every level. I had nothing. I had fully depleted all resources. And that's probably because I was pushing myself too much in every way, physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically. And we have to be more conscious of, oh, okay, I'm not going to push it. Like you wouldn't keep driving your car till you have zero gas, because then you're going to get stuck somewhere and you're screwed, right? So same with all of our bodies. Now it's no longer just your physical. Now it's like you have a group of kids. Okay, kids, my physical kid, my mental kid, my emotional kid, my energetic kid. All of you. Everybody has a snack. Everybody has something to do, a book to read. Mommy's going to go take a bath. You know, if you look at it that way, it's like, oh, okay, they're all happy. And when they're happy, boom, shit aligns. You're on the highest timeline. You're in the highest vibration, the highest frequency. It's like, oh, the heavens open up. And that's the key that it went. See, so my time in bed with that fever was very useful, because I was like, Like, looking at all the patterns, looking at all the parallels, like, that, getting a lot of information, reflecting. So this gateway, in addition to being impeccable with your wording, your actions, your deeds, because, teachers coming, the professors waking up, Saturn, also just making peace with your past, making peace with what was, so that you can go to the new play, the new movie, the new you, the new version of the now, and without all that shit. So, and you don't have to be in front of that person to make peace with the past. You can just reflect on, I see why that had to happen, because if that hadn't happened, this wouldn't have happened, and like being grateful for it. And then also like, oh, I see how I fucked up too. Like I was wrong. They were wrong, definitely, but I was also wrong. And like taking responsibility for those little nuances that seem little, but they're huge. And once you make, mental recognition and take ownership of like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. Like I had to do that in order for this. They had to do that in order for this. Oh my God, it's so freeing. And again, using that letter thing, or just imagining yourself talking to them and saying whatever it is you need to say, in anger, in sadness, in grief, whatever, releasing, and then forgiveness. Forgiveness is like the balm, the soothing balm, and it's not for them, it's for you. It's magic for you. It's a gift to you, so that you can breathe and you don't have to carry that shit into the new, portal, because then you're like, oh, well, this timeline, the highest timeline that you want, your hands have to be empty. And you got all that shit in your hands. Kind of like when you're at Disneyland and they're like, ma'am, you have to leave that backpack, that cup, those sunglasses, because they might fall off on this roller coaster. You can't get on here. You have to leave it in those little cubbies. It's like that, but only we're putting it in a garbage can. We're not putting it in a cubby for later. It's gone. Bye. Yes. And then being so excited for the new possibilities, the new, what's possible. Everything is possible. Everything. Just to share a personal story, you don't have to agree with what other people say, most especially 3D people, like, or big companies or big structures. That doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it gospel. To include the spiritual community, me, whoever, anybody on YouTube, anybody anywhere, you don't have to believe it. Like, look at it, okay, and then be discerning, decide if you're going to take it in. Because what I've noticed when I do that, I'm like, pause, break. Does believing this benefit me? So for instance, the woman I was working with the mortgage was saying, oh, no, that's impossible. That can't happen. You're going to have to sell the house, blah, blah, blah. And just like all this stuff. And I'm looking at it like, that has a really low vibration. And just being very neutral, because I'm like, so what? If I sell the house, I'll sell the house. So what? But like, what else is possible? And not just taking it at gospel because, ooh, she's a mortgage officer or whatever. So she's a fucking person. Like, so? And like, just because she says, she doesn't know everything. And I mean, she could be very good intentioned, trying to help me. And she was, but that doesn't mean it's true in my reality. So I thought, I didn't say anything. I just wrote down what she said, sent her whatever she required on her end, but then I investigated on my end, what else can I do? Well, lo and behold, fast forward a few months, I got what I wanted, the very thing that she said was impossible. Boom, done. Why? Because I didn't immediately believe what she was imposing on me as my reality. Like, put this on. This is what your reality is. Nope, who are you? This is my reality. This is not your reality. This is my reality. And like, you know, sometimes it's a lesson that you signed up for and you need to experience that thing. But we're not always aware of what is a lesson and what is not. I feel like we're being trained to see what is really your power and like what you can create as a creator being. And so I was like, well, it could be true, but it might not be true. And what if it's not true? What if I can change it? What if there is another way? You know, there's more than one way to skin a cat. And I mean, I hate that saying because of cats, but you know what I mean? Like, there's more than one way to do something. So I researched and done. And she was like, oh, congratulations. Yeah, I thought so. Like, well, what was it that you were saying? Well, I didn't say any of that. But, you know, in my mind, I felt very proud. Like, oh, I did it. And I was so proud, number one, that I listened to my guidance, that my discernment was on 1,000%. And see, when you're aligned and you feed all your bodies what they need, you're on fire. You're on all cylinders, boom, all systems running. You're detached, you're neutral. You can observe all the possibilities. But if you don't feed all those bodies, part of you is scattered. You're all over the place like an octopus. And it's like, come back home, come back to center, and let's look at it from another way. And so I like to do that when somebody gives me their perception of my reality. Initially, it feels like, boom, ice water. And you're like, whoa, I'm not accepting that ice water. Let me observe the ice water. Let me review the ice water. And if this is what I have to do, of course, I'm willing. I surrender, whatever. I have no attachment to any outcome, but I will investigate because I owe it to myself if I get the guidance to investigate, like, what else? And I mean, the guidance comes in a whisper, just a very soft way in the back. And you're like, you can either listen to it or you can ignore it. So I invite you, please listen to your guidance and be in alignment with all of your bodies so that you can always be aware of what are all of my opportunities. What are my choices? I want to know what all my choices are in any moment. But to do that, you have to zoom out and be very discerning, very aware, embodied, grounded, not chaotic, but grounded. And okay, like you don't have to say, okay, you just observe what are the choices? What's at the buffet? What can I have, right? What else did I want to tell you? So then, really, I can't say it enough. Don't feed the monster. Don't react to the triggers. It's like they can pop up. Let them do whatever they're going to do. Let them say whatever they're going to say. It's not true, first of all. They're just trying to bait you. It's a hook. And they're trying to get you on their hook to drag you down. So, I mean, it's your choice. You want to go down there? You can. It doesn't feel good, but you can. Initially, I feel like a big theme that has been coming up for me a lot lately is embracing discipline. And, you know, discipline, again, like the word trigger, has a bad connotation to it. Saturn is my chart ruler, so I have a lot of Saturn in my chart. Saturn loves discipline, and that's been my experience my whole life, a very militant, disciplined upbringing, family, environments. I was in law enforcement. I mean, everything very structured, lots of rules, lots of discipline. You can't do this, you can't drink, you can't drive, you know, like obviously everybody can't, but like when you're in law enforcement, you have even more rules imposed on you because you can't just, oh, you're going to go smoke pot with your friend. No, I can't do that because in law enforcement, You have to take a drug test every now and then. And I mean, even to get in, you have to be drug tested. And I don't do drugs, but I'm just making an example, right? So it's very structured. So society has really programmed us to run away from discipline. But lately I've been guided to embrace it, because discipline really is a gift to yourself. So the way I mean that is, I don't allow my emotions to be my ruler. I tell my emotions what to do. I mean, obviously I feel things, right? But I am in charge of whether or not I physically portray that emotion, or if I just notice it, okay, I'm really pissed, I feel like punching a wall, but I don't have to react. I don't have to let that other person know, or that group know, or those people know that they pissed me off, or that whatever they did made me feel a certain way. I am disciplined enough to, like an adult versus a toddler. A toddler just throws themselves on the floor in the supermarket. I want the cereal. Well, an adult is like, oh, I really want that cereal. That Captain Crunch looks so good. But I know that it has a bunch of garbage in it, has sugar, has preservatives, it has GMO corn, whatever. And I know that, yeah, it'll taste really good, but then I'm gonna feel like shit after. So I'm not gonna get it, because I'm disciplined and I love my physical body. So I'm not gonna give my physical body something that's gonna make it feel like shit later. Even though in the moment, it'll feel fantastic, but the longevity of it is going to be crappy. So no, thank you, not worth it. Like making investments. Is this a wise investment or is this a bad investment? So with those, like being very loving, right? So you're loving yourself by being disciplined. You're investing in yourself. Every time you meditate, you're investing in yourself. When you listen to the subliminal programming audios, you're investing in yourself. When you take a hot bath, you're investing in yourself. When you take a nap, you're investing in yourself. When you eat very clean and healthy, you're investing in yourself. So all those ways, that's discipline. When you go work out, like not necessarily for weight loss, but to move that energy, because if you don't work out, you're going to feel like shit later, because you're going to be super anxious, because that energy has nowhere to go and it wants to get out. So then you blow up on somebody because you didn't take care of the physical body. And so now not only the physical body's paying for it, but the emotional body's paying for it, and the mental body's paying for it. And so being disciplined is a gift. And I've been called to I'm sorry. I was thinking of the previous times I've been called to fast. I've been called to, it's sort of a detox, really. But in my head, I heard reset. I'm resetting my physical vessel, because all the bodies are holding hands. So, right, like your physical body's holding hands with the emotional body's holding hands with the mental body's holding hands with the energetic body, and they're all like, this. So in my mind, I was shown to change that, all those, you got to change this. This is your breadcrumb, like Hansel and Gretel. Take this, do that to get over there. And at first it doesn't make sense, because what the hell, how could this right here get me over there? But it's so weird. So again, it doesn't make sense initially to me, but then once I just step into it, I take the leap of faith, I step into it, and then I'm like, oh my God, wow, that's huge. And I had no idea how huge that one thing that made no sense to me was. So I highly, highly recommend Dr. Raphael Kelman's book. The first one, it's an old one. It's called The Microbiome Diet. The Microbiome Diet, and I'll put a link below. Oh my goodness. Fascinating. I'm a nerd, so I love reading all that stuff about the body. And I used to be in nursing school, so I love reading all that stuff of how your body affects your life, your thoughts, your emotions, what diseases you get, what diseases you don't get. So essentially, to give you a brief overview of the book, he essentially discusses the secret organ, which is the organ of all organs that not a lot of people talk about, although it's becoming more and more popular now because we're becoming more awake and aware, and we actually care more about ourselves and our well-being. So it's becoming more popular now. So there is a PDF version of the book floating online somewhere. Honestly, I don't know where, but Google the microbiome diet PDF. You should find it. A friend of mine gave it to me. Bless him. Thank you, George. And it changed my life. And it continues to change my life because I'm still doing it. So the reset that I heard in my head, it's a reset because I wanted to say diet because that's what the book says, diet. And I heard no, not a diet, reset. So that means you're walking into the new, right? Like you're primping, you're getting ready. Well, to be that new person, you have to do different things, right? Because the old Sylvia in the old play, in that play from back there that I don't want anymore, she did this, this, and this. Well, this new one, in order, like, remember, I'm not in that hallway yet. I'm at the beginning of the hallway. So in order for me to go down that hallway, because remember, it could change, it could go this way. So to go down that hallway, I need to reset, different, do something drastic different. And when you do something that like 180 degrees, turn your car around on the highway, now we're going this way. The universe is like, whoop, everybody, hands on, all hands on deck, she's going this way now. You know, teams, assemble teams, we're gonna help her because, oh, now we're gonna bring her this, 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 and this. You open up yourself to new possibilities because now you're on a different timeline because you just did a U-turn and you're going a different way. So with the book, The Microbiome Diet by Dr. Raphael Kelman, he says the microbiome is the secret organ that not a lot of people talk about. And most people think that the brain runs the body, but the microbiome, which is bacteria that lives in your body, tells the brain what to do. It also tells the body what to do. And I just found that completely fascinating and wondering why the hell isn't everybody talking about this? Because it's like right under your nose. And if you don't know, you're not going to benefit from it. You know, maybe you're eating like this already and that's why you feel great and good for you, wonderful. But if you don't know, like I didn't know, it's a gift. And so in reading the book, essentially he says to reset the microbiome. So there's, for lack of a better word, there's good bacteria and there's bad bacteria. And so what he says is initially because our bodies are so abused by us, and sometimes knowingly, sometimes unknowingly, like we don't always know that something's bad until you start to get symptoms and you don't understand why you're feeling the way you're feeling. But then in looking back at what you've been eating, how you've been treating yourself, you're like, oh, I see the pattern. So in the book, he says a lot of people are secretly suffering from leaky gut. So leaky gut is when your body can't hold on to the nutrients and they just go all over through your bloodstream. And it causes leaky gut, so it can't hold on to the food to break it down into nutrients. So it's just like chaos in your body, and that causes all kinds of symptoms. The biggest symptom being weight gain. And so if you've tried everything and you're not losing weight, huge indicator of leaky gut. And you might have a food sensitivity, a food allergy. So he says, in order to completely detox and cleanse, essentially the way we starve negative energy by not reacting, you starve the bad bacteria. And because the bad bacteria is what causes those diseases, those symptoms of like depression, lupus, autism, like so many things that he touches on in the book. And it's just so much. Weight gain, your thyroid being off, hormones being off, your thinking, like being very confused and cloudy, foggy thinking, lack of thinking, really, when you can't get clear and you're just like in a daze. That's part of the microbiome being off. So what you want is a balance. You want it balanced. You want the good bacteria to be in charge and the bad bacteria to be minimal. So the way you do that is you starve the bad bacteria. So that means eliminating all trigger foods being foods that are known to cause sensitivities in the body, such as dairy, sugar, legumes, beans, peanuts are legumes, which I had no idea. Peanuts apparently are very inflammatory to the system. Any kind of artificial, anything artificial. So even artificial sweetener. What else? I'm trying to remember what you have to eliminate. Gluten is a big one. Grains, any grain, just because, not because they're bad for you necessarily, because like rice and quinoa, those are brown rice, and quinoa are good for your body, but in the beginning, he wants you to completely detox from any trigger foods so that way you know what is damaging or what is not damaging to you, so that you can be clear and reset. So the reset in his book is 21 days, 3 weeks long for the detox, the starving of the bad bacteria. And then the tail end, you can slowly introduce foods that are trigger foods that you couldn't have in the beginning, but are healthy, like the brown rice, bananas, starchy, vegetables, things like that. So the book goes into detail. It recommends what supplements to take to heal your gut lining, to heal, to introduce the enzymes that you need, the probiotics, the prebiotics. And it's fascinating. It's really interesting. So I apologize if this is not interesting to you, or if you're already doing it. Wonderful. I applaud you. I didn't know, so I'm doing it now. I'm not going to say that, oh, it's so easy. I mean, it's good. I can eat it. I can do it. It's fine. But it's very interesting how, just like the Matrix wants to, like, hey, come back here, trick you to come back into there, the bad bacteria is like, hey, don't you want some sugar? Don't you want some bread? And you're like, oh, of course I do. But I know that that's not, again, that's where discipline comes in. That's not the car, the vehicle that's going to get me to the end of that hallway to go into the stadium for the big game, like the dream. So I'm choosing, because I'm powerful, and sure, I can have bread, I can have whatever I want, but I want the highest probabilities for myself, the highest possibilities. And in order to get that, I have to do this. So this is the road, this is the recipe, this is the steps. So that's what I'm gonna do. So if you're interested, I welcome you to check it out, look it up. Fascinating, fascinating read. I read it in 24 hours. I couldn't put it down because it was so interesting to me. I took notes. And if any of you want help with it, please feel free to reach out. I can share my experiences with you. If you want to know more about this reset that I'm on, I can do another video. Just hit me up in the comments and let me know, and I'll do another video like further detailing, because also in doing this reset, I found I could not find anything online, any resources, any help, as far as like holding your hand through it. Like, okay, I know what foods to get, I know what I have to eliminate, but that's it. Then they leave you hanging. So please, I'm here. I'll help you, just through trial and error from what I've experienced, because it's a little bit different if you're vegetarian and you don't eat meat, because the bulk of the book is you know, chicken, beef, seafood, whatever. I don't eat any of that. So I've had to modify. So I'm willing to help anybody out there who's doing, you know, who's vegetarian or vegan and you want substitutes. I mean, I'm not a professional anything. I just, you know, little tips and tricks that I've picked up through trial and error by being on it. This is my 3rd week. And I want to extend that first phase. It's called phase 1, which is the detox, where you eliminate the trigger foods. I want to extend it as long as I can, because I really want to give my system time to like really heal, because I mean, man, especially going through that divorce, I've damaged my poor little microbiome, and I want to, you know, give them the best opportunity possible. So then the really exciting part that I didn't know, that I received recently from my guidance, is that I started noticing that I'm more psychic and I'm seeing cooler stuff, and I have access to different things that I didn't have access to before. And I was like, what's happened? Is that because of like the astrological alignments, like the Lionsgate, the Schumann resonance, like what? And I was trying to find why. And I was told, because of the reset. We wanted to open you up. You know, we ask for things. We're like, I want this. I want to be more psychic. I want my abilities. I want them now. And sometimes you're given a breadcrumb, a key, that you're like, what the heck is this? What do I do with this? How is this going to get me there? It's all wrapped up in an enigma. It's a mystery. And you have to be brave enough, willing enough, excited enough to say, I'm going to experiment. Let's see what happens. Fuck it. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. And here I am. And I had no idea. Initially, I thought it was diet related, weight loss related, because yes, I would like that. I also want to be more healthy. I wanted to balance my hormones, because I didn't know, is that thyroid issue that the doctor talked about way back in the day on another timeline that feels like a million years ago, is that a thing? Is that not? So I got my blood work done. Everything's perfect. Everything's in balance. I knew I didn't have a thyroid issue, even though they were imposing that reality on me. I'm like, in my own research, you know, do your research. Don't just take everything at face value. Obviously, other people in your life, such as relationships, family, they have free will. They get to choose what they want to choose. Cool. You like it. I love it. Awesome. Fine. Go do what you got to do. You know, go delve in the lower timelines if you like, but I'm not going with you. And I'm keeping my energy clean, my vibration clean. And another thing I have found is that in this changeover time, I have noticed that the dark is definitely scrambling. Like, they've always been scrambling. And like we've always known, you know, love conquers all. Love has won. But in this final, what's the word? Like the changeover, like the changing of the guard, the turning of the tables, like when I was in law enforcement, shift change, you were like waiting to go home and your relief was coming in. So in that changeover period, like right as it's happening, I feel like they don't want to leave. and they're gonna do everything possible to the nth degree to get you down there with them on their team. Remember the dream. I'm not on your team. I'm on a higher vibration, no judgment. You get to play whatever game you want to play, but I'm not playing that anymore. I've learned what I needed to learn. I got my lessons. I got my experience. Thank you to all my teachers. And I don't need to be in 5th grade anymore. I don't need to be in 8th grade anymore. I'm going to high school. I'm going to college. I'm going to PhD, whatever. But bigger and better, new and better, right? So I have found that it is, it was brought to me, and again, like, I'm giving things, but I don't always make the connection. When it's given to me, I just do it. And obviously with discernment. And I was called to change my protection. So I don't know if in other videos you've seen where I say what protection I do. So my protection has changed, and I want to share it with you because I don't know if it'll be of help to you. And if you would like to know how to do it, I will read. I wrote it down. I don't say anything. I just visualize it in my third eye. And initially, obviously, when you're learning how to do something, you take notes and you're like reading and intending as you're reading. But now, then after you've memorized the steps from doing it so much, because I do it every morning. If I'm gonna go somewhere sketchy where I'm like, this might go south, I do it then. If I'm gonna go into something important, if I'm gonna do a session, if I'm gonna connect with somebody that is not my biggest fan, I do it then. You know, protecting my field, protecting my bubble, putting on shoes before I go outside, same thing. And I mean, you could do it, you could not do it. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to, and you can stop the video here. But for those of you who would like to do it or are curious, I invite you to play around with it, experiment. This is what I was told to do. You can change it in any way that your guidance tells you to change it. And maybe this will give you some ideas. So again, I just do this in my mind. I visualize it, but for you, I wrote it down so that I wouldn't miss anything. So to call in your protection, I do this every morning and I do it every night. I do it on my kids. I do it on my car. I do it on my property, homeland and property. I just say 100 feet in every direction, inside and out. I do it around my pets. I do it around social media accounts. I do it around my bank accounts. I do it around, I visualize, I just intend all of my accounts, meaning like your electricity account, your gas account, your water account, your whatever accounts. And then I say possessions. Well, that's included in my homeland and property. So I just say 100 feet in every direction. I'm just giving you this. If you want to use it, you can just intend that, and then boom, it covers everything. And so it goes like this. You call in a bubble of bright white source energy all around you. So you just imagine the brightest white that you can imagine, and it's all around your body. So you just imagine that. Boom, that's the first layer. There's 8 layers. That's the first layer. So I just call in and invoke bright white source energy all around me. I call in and invoke an outer layer of blue energy all around me. And so it's the source energy, then it's the blue energy overlapping the source energy. Then all around the blue energy, I call in an outer layer of rainbow energy. So I'm imagining the white energy, I'm imagining the blue energy, I'm imagining the rainbow energy. So they're layers, like a ball, like a gum ball. It's the gum, then it's the candy shell, like that. So you're building on top of a big ball, and this ball is going all around your field. So you're intending that it's all around my field. So again, let's start at the beginning. Call in a bubble of bright white source energy all around me. I call in an outer layer of blue energy all around the source energy. I call in an outer layer of rainbow energy all around the blue energy. I call in a layer of outward facing mirrors, kind of like a soccer ball, how it has those, I don't know what they are, hexagons, octagons, like a disco ball, like that, but they're facing outward. So the mirror, the reflection part is here, and it's outside, and that is to deflect anybody else's energy that you don't want. And that's just, nope, I'm not gonna fight with you. It's just, I'm not letting it in. Like the door, somebody knocks at the door, you don't have to open it. So nope, no thanks. So outward facing mirrors like a disco ball, and that goes on top of the rainbow energy. And all around the disco ball of the outward facing mirrors, call in a wooden layer. So you just imagine a layer of wood all around that, protecting the mirror layer. On top of the wooden layer, call in a concrete layer. So it's cement that's protecting the wooden layer. Now call in a metal layer that's protecting the concrete layer. Now call in a diamond layer. So it's just diamonds all around. And that's protecting the final, it's protecting the metal layer. So the diamond is the final outer shell. So you're inside a diamond. You have all these colors and layers around you. That's your protection. Now declare either silently in your mind, I just say it in my mind. I close my eyes and I just intend this every morning for myself, for my kids, before we go to bed, for myself, for my kids. And you speak in your mind or out loud. The only energies that can penetrate these layers of protection surrounding every level of my being are 100% pure love and 100% pure light. So I speak and so it is. Boom, done. You say it with like conviction, with firm. So I speak and so it is. You're commanding it because this is what I fucking want. I want to wear my shoes because if it were snowing, I'm putting on boots. I command it so because I'm protecting my field, my energy, and so it is. You don't say it in a like, kind of sort of maybe confused, I don't know, way. No, you're firm. This is what I want. I'm commanding it. Done. And then I'm in that same firm tone. I say it for the kids. So I speak and so it is. For each kid, because I command it so. And you will notice a big difference. It has helped me tremendously. And again, I feel like we're being given all these tools because where we're going, even though in this reality, it feels like, am I just imagining this? Honestly, what have you got to lose? Look at the bullshit running around rampant out here. It's just accelerating. It is accelerating. Put on your snow boots. Protect your field. And then it gives you, what I've noticed, a very relaxed and calm about me. And I'm able, like, there's a buffer between me and any shenanigans now. So now it gives me that time. You know how in driving, they say you have to stay 100 feet or whatever behind a car. You have to maintain that pocket. Why? Because if somebody hits you from behind, you won't hit the person in front of you. It gives you that buffer zone, that pocket of, to hopefully, if you're in alignment and you fed all your bodies, you can be in discernment and, oh, I see, you're trying to trigger me. Nope, not today, Satan, right? So, hey, it's just information. If you like it, awesome. If you don't, that's okay. I am here to share, and so much love to all of you. And I hope your Lionsgate was great. And thank you for being here. Thank you for blessing me.